the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful. This is teacher Nariman Al-Faddawi from King Abdulaziz Model Schools. I'd like to present a lesson from Flying High 5. I hope you enjoy it. The title of Unit 6 is Shop Until You Drop. Lesson 4 is a grammar in context. It's about clauses of concession, result, and purpose. Clauses of concession are however, although, even though. Clauses of result are so and therefore. Clauses of purpose are so that, to, in order to, or in order not to. The outcomes of Lesson 4. Categorize the connectives into 3 uses of contrast, result, and purpose. Use the connectives of contrast, result, and purpose in the context skillfully. Clauses of concession are however, although, and even though. First of all, what's the clause? Well, I'll tell you what a clause is. I got the full mark. Is this a clause? No, it's a sentence. This is a complete sentence. It can stand by itself. But this, although the exam was difficult, I got the full mark. This is a clause. It's incomplete to say, although the exam was difficult. You need to finish your sentence. This clause expresses contrast or opposition. Although the exam was difficult, I got the full mark. This is the opposite of this. When you say that the exam was difficult, people will think that you didn't do well. Right, because the exam was difficult. But the opposite happened. The exam was difficult and you got the full mark. Notice that here, if you start with the clause, you need a comma after the clause. But if you start with the main sentence, you don't need a comma. Notice something. Clauses of concession, however, although, and even though, are followed by a subject and a verb. Clauses of result are so and therefore. Look at this example. He needed a drink. This is a sentence. He needed a drink, so he made some tea. This is a clause. He needed a drink, therefore he made some tea. We use so and therefore to show the result of an action or state. Notice, clauses of result, so and therefore, are followed by a subject and a verb. Clauses of purpose are so that, in order to, in order not to, and to. I study hard. This is a complete sentence. It can stand by itself. I study hard to get the full mark. Or, I study hard in order to get the full mark. These are clauses. When I ask, why do you study hard? The purpose is to get the full mark. Notice that so that is followed by a subject and modal verb and base verb. To sum up, we use clauses of purpose so that, in order to, in order not to, and to show the purpose in doing something. Look at the sentences and answer the questions. He wanted to impress at the interview, so he dressed very smartly. Although her father had been to France many times, he couldn't speak a word of French. She studied until late. Therefore, she was very tired when she went to bed. He went to the airport very earlier in order not to miss the flight. The car was brand new. However, it needed a new engine after only 2 months. I went to bed early to be rested for the big day. Which connectives can we use to show a contrast? We use however, even though, and although to show a contrast. Which connectives can we use to show our purpose in doing something? We use so that, to, and in order not to show our purpose in doing something. Which connectives can we use to show the result of an action or state? We use so that and therefore to show the result of an action or state. Match the two halves of the sentences from 1 to 8 with A to H so they make sense. Number 1. Even though I had never been there before, the place seemed familiar. It was raining quite heavily, so they cancelled the trip. He borrowed his friend's bicycle to go into town. It was a sunny day, although the weather forecast had predicted rain. He turned the radio up a bit so that he could hear it better. She had her eyes closed. However, she wasn't asleep. Musa wasn't happy with the computer, therefore he took it back to the shop. In order to see better, Tariq put his glasses on. Put the following words in the correct order. The words beginning with capital letters are important. She went to the baker's to buy some bread. He was saving money to get a car. They were caught in traffic, so they missed their flight. Although the interview went well, she didn't get the job. He couldn't sleep even though he was tired. The value. Becoming a better writer requires constantly improving your writing skills. The closure. The outcomes of lesson 4. We recognize the connectives into 3 uses of contrast, result, and purpose. We use the connectives of contrast, result, and purpose in the context skillfully. The assessment. Choose the correct answer. She had her eyes closed. She wasn't asleep. However, therefore, so. To show the purpose in doing something, we use so that, even though, in order to, therefore. Kind regards from teacher Nariman Al-Faddal.